All right, guys, I just got a question in the YouTube comments, and I wanted to cover this in a video because this is something that more people might actually be like affected by, and you don't see a lot of information about the subject. I had my gallbladder removed a few years ago. Can I still eat the steak and eggs diet? Now, for those of you who don't know that much about the gallbladder, haven't had experiences with it being removed, okay, the way it works is this. There's something called bile, which is produced in the liver and stored in the gallbladder. Bile is a physical, like, digestive agent, okay? It's used to digest food. And the thing is, if you don't have a gallbladder, you might not be able to digest food as well as when you did have a gallbladder. And another thing is that because people think that fat is like so hard to digest, one of the first things that a doctor is going to do is probably to tell you to go on a low-fat diet. Okay, now there are a bunch of things I wanted to talk about in this video. First of all, I said in my other couple of videos about like the conspiracy of, people pushing high carb diets and stuff like that. One of the things I said is, doctors don't really know as much as people think. A lot of times they're still stuck in, like, I read a report 15 years ago that said that fat's bad for you because of this and this, and they never like updated their information. Okay. So, no offense to doctors, but a lot of them, especially the ones that really don't care about updating their information, will say something that's kind of out of date. The fact of the matter is, a lot of people live very well without a gallbladder on a ketogenic diet. Okay, and what I mean is, like, actually from a point of view, they'll say that their digestion, their stomach problems, and everything are all better while they're on a high-fat, low-carb diet. And there are a bunch of different factors that I just want to go over. Okay. First of all, the most important factor is everybody's body is different, okay? That means, I've said it before, some people will have a peanut and drop dead. Most people aren't like that, okay? Most people go on a ketogenic diet, their good cholesterol goes up, their bad cholesterol goes down. Some people have the opposite effect. Okay, it's almost, they have almost like an allergic reaction when they go on low carbs, okay, high fat. So, like I said, everybody's different, and you need to find out what works for you. Okay, so don't just think, hey, because I have no gallbladder, I automatically can eat a high fat diet. That's the first thing. The next thing that I wanted to say is how long, because according to this guy, I think he says it was a couple years ago, had my gallbladder removed a few years ago. After a while, your body kind of adapts, okay? So for people that had their gallbladder removed like close to a decade ago, they start to get to being very normal, okay? And they do really well on a high-fat, low-carb diet after a few years, okay? So if it was a few years ago, okay, you have an even better chance that the steak and eggs diet will be good for you, okay? Let me go ahead and just say there are also different types of fat, okay? Some people need more fat. I do really well on saturated fat, okay? I feel my best when I'm on saturated fat. But I also said, like, for instance, my ex-girlfriend went on the pure protein diet, which is basically chicken with, some almonds thrown in. And she was on that for like a long time, and she felt great. She kept losing weight. She didn't have any problem, even though it was low calorie, low carb, and even relatively low fat. So like I said, certain people do better with certain types of food. I mean, you might be doing well with like lean meats and a bunch of maybe like olive oil, avocados, things like that. You might be able to digest eggs better than, beef. So you really basically need to find out what works for you. And since you specifically asked about the steak and eggs diet, not like a standard keto diet, but like the steak and eggs diet, let me just say, steak and eggs is actually not a really high fat diet. Okay, if you look at those experts who say that you have to be in a certain ratio of fats to proteins to carbs for keto to work or to go into ketosis, they'll say things like, 70% of your calories from fat, and I don't know, like 25% of your calories from protein and 5% of your calories from carbs. The steak and eggs diet is really more like 55% fat, 45% protein. Okay, the anabolic diet, Mario Di Pasquale's diet, is also, it's almost like a ripoff of steak and eggs, but it's also basically like, not that much fat in it. Okay, so like I said, the steak and eggs diet might actually work well for you also because, like I said, it's not as high fat. So what I'm basically trying to say is at the end of the day, there are a million different factors that will affect whether you can go on the steak and eggs diet or a ketogenic diet or not without a gallbladder. And like I said, one of them is just you as a person, how your body reacts to it. And another thing is try out different diets, different fat sources, different amounts of fat as ratio of fat to protein, and different things like that. And like I said, just see how it works for you. And, there are a lot of people out there with no gallbladder that are on like a real standard keto diet, like very high fat diet, and they feel great. No problems with their stomach, nothing. They digest everything well. So like I said, before you discount keto or discount especially the steak and eggs diet, just try it for a while. After a few days, a week or two, seeing, depending upon how you're doing, how your body reacts, you can either alter your fat, amount of fat you intake, the type of fat you intake, or maybe keto won't work for you. But I certainly do think that you should give it a try and not just discount it immediately because it's a high fat diet. And getting just one last thing, which I should probably have said at the beginning of this video, I'm not a doctor. Okay, this is not medical advice. This is just my experience working with these diets myself and my experience with other people who are in similar situations to you who use this diet. And like I said, just take it for what it's worth, try it out, find out what works best for you, and do whatever you think works best for you.